What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Jordan Cameron, back with another update. So last video that I made last week, guys, we continued to discuss how Bitcoin continues to hold the 50-week moving average band. And last week was another massively fear week, right? A lot of fear in the markets. Yet we continue on this channel to remind you that as long as Bitcoin holds the 50 moving average bands, guys, nothing has changed. Last week, Bitcoin came down, had a slight wick below the 50-week moving average band, and there was massive fear in the markets. Okay, but we continue to say, as long as Bitcoin continues to hold this 50 moving average band, guys, nothing has changed. And our base case of the biggest blow off top in the history of crypto, market cap wise, is right around the corner as long as Bitcoin continues to hold these 50 moving average bands. And today we're going to give a bigger update on why I believe this is right around the corner. It is not too far away at this point, and I think a lot of the chop that we've seen over the last, give or take few weeks here for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market is coming up to a close. Timing is always the hardest part to predict. And I'm not going to sit here and try to predict time. I think we could continue to chop around possibly for another few weeks. But I'm going to discuss why I don't think it's too much longer here before we do see the bigger move to the upside. And that 4236 Fibonacci extension, which is the 10 trillion point for the cryptocurrency market before the biggest bubble crash in the history of crypto. So if you enjoyed today's video, guys, let's jump on into it. So just to kind of discuss what our base case is here on this channel, guys, and give you guys my thought process and why I continue to believe that Bitcoin is going higher, cryptocurrency is going higher, large cap altcoins are going higher. It mainly, and what our invalidations are for that, because we don't know it's 100% true, right? Top could be in, but we don't think it is on this channel. So our total market cap chart, why we think this is going to happen, and it's a combination of the Bitcoin chart, total market cap chart, global liquidity, and the stablecoin dominance chart. We're going to take a look at all our main charts today. Our base case, guys, here on this channel is that we're about to see the biggest pump, and I wouldn't call it pump, but I would call it the blow off tops of all blow off tops for the cryptocurrency market up to that 4236 extension, where everyone and their mother will believe crypto will change the world before we see the dot-com bubble 2.0, which will basically be the crypto bubble. So why we're looking at that exact 10 trillion point is we simply take the previous bull market highs, the bear market lows. That gives us a 4236 Fibonacci extension right at that 10.44 trillion point, which happens to also be the top of this. What I believe we're forming is this major, bigger macro rising wedge, which is a bearish pattern. And I believe that we're about to see a move like this up to the top of that rising wedge before we see a breakdown to the downside of that rising wedge. Okay. Why is that, right? Why are we still confident, and why have we been confident for the past few weeks, hearing about these tariffs and all these bearish things going on, right? All this bullish news for crypto, and the moves and the prices aren't going up. Why would prices go up, right? And that's kind of the common consensus thought process right now in crypto. But on this channel, we've continued to maintain the thought process that this thesis of the biggest blow off top in crypto before the biggest dump in crypto, as long as Bitcoin continues to hold the 50 moving average bands. And why that's been the case is each of these major consolidations and pullbacks for this bull market, guys, for Bitcoin, the 50 moving average bands has marked a low. And each time there's been massive fear, capitulation, time capitulation. Every single time we come to these 50 moving average bands, there's always a bearish narrative. There's always something going on. And here we find ourselves right here for the past 8 weeks. And we've continued to discuss for the past 8 weeks, guys, nothing has changed. Ignore the news. As long as Bitcoin continues to hold here, as it did in this area, we continue to remain with the thought process that we're going to see Bitcoin come up and make new highs again, exactly as it did here from the 50 moving average band, and exactly as it did here in the 50 moving average band. And this all ties together for a couple different things, right? So obviously, we're looking at the total cryptocurrency market going up to that 10 trillion point. And we know that Bitcoin's the leader. So as long as Bitcoin continues to hold that 50 moving average band, we're expecting Bitcoin to make another higher price. And validation, obviously, is Bitcoin breaking the 50 moving average band. Now, why, besides Bitcoin holding the point that it always has, right? I'll add a little check mark here. In these previous two big consolidations and sideways periods, well, if we go over here and look at the global liquidity chart, you guys can see that global liquidity is absolutely skyrocketing. And this is a 2 or 3 month lag, right? Sometimes it's about 3 months, sometimes about 2 months, but Bitcoin tends to follow the global liquidity. When global liquidity goes up, about 2 or 3 months later, Bitcoin goes up, right? When global liquidity goes down, about 2 or 3 months later, Bitcoin goes down, right? And we can see for the past 2 or 3 months, guys, global liquidity has skyrocketed up to a new high, right? And we have not seen the Bitcoin price do it yet, but if you notice, it follows it, right? Bitcoin moves up and it follows the global liquidity chart on a 2 to 3 month lag. So what we're expecting now is that we've seen the yellow line, which is global liquidity, go up. We're expecting Bitcoin to go up. And that's just one part of the puzzle here. Okay, that's just one part of our overall puzzle. So if we're expecting Bitcoin to go higher, we're expecting the total market cap chart to go higher. And what we have not seen in this bull market yet is we have not seen, for the majority, a lot of the altcoin charts go up, right? And I just think it's because we have not seen that part of the cycle yet, right? We have not seen the hype phase of the cycle, right? We've seen the beginning phase of the cycle, but not the hype phase of the cycle. And the main chart that I'm watching here, guys, if we go over to the stablecoin dominance chart, we've been discussing this nonstop. And it's another reason why I believe the market's going to go higher. If you take a look at the 7 to 8% USDT plus USDC dominance, which is the stablecoin dominance, right, of all the stablecoins, if this chart goes up, crypto goes down. If this chart goes down, crypto goes up. And I maintain the thought process that this is forming a bigger Wyckoff accumulation chart, okay? Now, Wyckoff accumulation for stablecoins would inherently eventually be bearish for the crypto market, guys. So I'm not a permeable. I eventually think this is going to lead to the biggest drawdown on crypto has ever seen, even for Bitcoin, okay? But I made the thought process that we've seen the first two lows for Wyckoff accumulation. And if you know anything about Wyckoff accumulation schematics, we typically see that third low, which swipes the two previous lows before moving up. So what I think we're about to see, and you can see that we've hit this major 7 to 8% resistance, which we saw a drawdown here, which we saw a drawdown here, which we saw a drawdown here, and which we saw a drawdown here. What I'm watching for, and this is going to be the confirmation that I think the move has started, because I don't think the move has quite started yet, is if we're expecting, once again, this move down on stablecoin dominance, then that would inherently mean that we're expecting a move up on total market cap, okay? Before eventually we get this move up on stablecoin dominance and total market cap gets the big crash, okay? That's inherently what the thought process is over here on the stablecoin dominance chart. Now, what I am watching here, guys, to be more confident that this move up on total market cap has started is, we talked about this last week, we want to see a breakdown of this trend line. Okay, so you can see since about January, which inherently, the end of January was also where Bitcoin sort of topped out here, right? You can see it's inversely correlated. So what we want to see here is a break to the downside on stablecoin dominance. And until we see that, I think we're going to continue to be in kind of a choppy market, and a market that's continued to be choppy. But you can see that we've held this on each one of these little pullbacks on stablecoin dominance. We've held this trend line. I'm waiting to see this breakdown. I think as soon as we see this break to the downside, guys, whether we get one more push up and then we break down, or we break down from right here, whatever it is, right? And this is why time is so hard to predict. I'm not here to predict time. I'm just watching this trend line. And as soon as I start to see it closes below this trend line, that's going to be the signal for me that this move on stablecoin, on total market cap up to that 4.236 extension has started. But until we break that trend line, we could just continue to chop around, right? So if stablecoin dominance bounces again, we probably see Bitcoin come down again, right? And continue to chop people out and continue to make people just go absolutely insane and switch their bias every day, despite the fact that Bitcoin continues to hold the 50 moving average band. And there's no reason to switch bias until Bitcoin does break that 50 moving average band. And that is by invalidation. I continue to be a bull, and I continue to firmly believe that we're going to see this 4236 extension, 10 trillion point, as long as Bitcoin continues to hold this. And what is going to be the fire that gets us started is stablecoin dominance breaking this to the downside and heading into new lows. Just like we saw over here back in October of 2024, stablecoin dominance had this support. And as soon as that broke to the downside, right, here in late October, right, you can see that's really when Bitcoin and especially total market cap absolutely exploded. It's when you saw stuff like XRP, Cardano, CRV, Chainlink go absolutely nuts, pull off 4 to 5 X's in the span of a few weeks. That's what I'm expecting to happen again as soon as this trend line breaks. But as of right now, we have not seen that trend line break. So we continue to have patience. We continue to hold our beliefs, right? Whether we're a bear or a bull, right? Until something has changed. And matter of fact, really nothing has changed for the Bitcoin chart since the end of February. I mean, we're almost on 2 months of nothing really changing here for the Bitcoin price chart. So once again, same thesis, same thought process, same thing I think is going to happen into the end of the 4-year cycle. And that's the one thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting right now is the simple fact of the 4-year cycle. Trying to predict that something different is going to happen when we've seen the 4-year cycle work every single time. And that's like kind of the last of my analysis right now. I'm not hanging my hat on the 4-year cycle, but that just adds more confluence for everything that we're looking at here for the total market cap chart, global liquidity absolutely skyrocketing here, and Bitcoin typically following it 2 to 3 months later. Bitcoin holding the 50-week moving average, and stablecoin dominance, I believe, on the verge of breaking down off a cliff and seeing this whole cryptocurrency market pump to Valhalla as long as Bitcoin holds the 50-week moving average. But the 4-year cycle continues to remain, guys. All right. So another thing we can look at real quick, and this just adds a little bit more flavor onto what we've been talking about, is just the Ethereum chart over here. And how we've been talking about that, each one of these cycles, in order to really see the altcoin market move up, we've had to see a major capitulation for Ethereum. And just to kind of map this out again, and just to kind of continue to talk about this, is until we see Bitcoin really break up, and until we see that stablecoin dominance chart break down, we probably can continue to see Ethereum bleed out. But if you notice, in each one of these major cycles, guys, we've seen Ethereum capitulation almost back down to the lows of the bear market, right? So just to kind of point out over here, back over here in 2017, before you had this big rally on ETH, and I'm not 100% convinced Ethereum is going to get that big rally this time. I think it could be a lot of other altcoins that get the big rallies. But if you notice here back in late 2016, before ETH had this big rally, you had to actually come out and take out those previous April 2016 lows, about a year later. Over here back in 2020, COVID crash, you didn't quite take out the 2018 lows, but you got pretty damn close. So if we kind of look at where we're at now, we mark at that June 2022 low. The question kind of remains, and it's kind of an interesting, thought process here and what could happen, do we have to get somewhere close to the bear market lows here for Ethereum? Okay. And this doesn't mean everything else has to go down, because if you notice, guys, Ethereum's absolutely gotten crushed when a lot of things have kind of held, right? Including XRP and, some other assets. But do we have to get Ethereum to come down and get somewhere close to these lows around like 900 in order to see that full on reversal? That's the question. I'm not hanging my hat on it. And I think there's a lot of things that could continue to outperform Ethereum. A lot of the things that pumped when Trump got elected, I think are going to continue to be the things you want to be in. XRP, Chainlink, CRV, HBAR, Cardano, a lot of the American-made coins, I think are going to continue to be the best performers. And I do think that when you see this move up to this top of this wedge, guys, it's going to be those American-made coins that absolutely skyrocket. Like I said, XRP, Chainlink, HBAR, Cardano, CRV, Aave. A lot of these American-made coins, I think, are going to be the ones you're going to want to be in, guys. And Ethereum could just be, taking a back seat for now. Okay, but just something to keep in mind. as we kind of go along on here. But once again, Ethereum and Bitcoin are two different charts. As long as Bitcoin continues to hold this, my thought process is Bitcoin's going to continue to go on and make new highs, and up following global liquidity, and total market cap is going to continue to make new highs. And a lot of this total market cap gain, I think, is going to be the altcoin market, but not every altcoin will do that. I think it's going to be very specific altcoins. I think it's going to be a very specific niche sector. And I do think it's going to be those American-made coins that, including, I forgot to name Solana. I think Solana will do well as well. But kind of that thought process. All right. So that's mainly it, guys. Continue to have patience. As long as Bitcoin holds that 50 moving average band, my main thesis, guys, is sounds absolutely crazy, but the biggest pump in crypto history up to that 4236 Fibonacci before the biggest meltdown in crypto history. And just watch it right now, guys. Right now, crypto's dead. No one knew was coming into crypto, right? It's another one of those time frames. It's kind of every time we come down to this 50 moving average band, that's kind of how it is sentiment wise. But just ignoring sentiment and just watching price, just kind of looking at where it is. Just watch, guys. When this move does happen, if it does happen, right? It's not guaranteed. If we break the 50 moving average band, I'll be the first one who comes out and says, okay, I was wrong. All right. But if we do see this move, watch the sentiment, watch your grandpa, your uncle, and maybe even yourself say that crypto will change the world. Right now, you don't believe that. Watch what happens if you see this type of move. Even yourself, who right now doesn't believe anything, you think crypto will change the world. There'll be some narrative that makes everyone think crypto is going to change the world. Some altcoin will be used in the real world, whether it be XRP, Chainlink, whatever. Everyone will believe it. Everyone will be convinced. Okay. And when everyone's convinced, that's when they're going to pull the plug and absolutely destroy everybody. Okay. And then later on, right, down the road, I believe crypto comes back. The strong projects come back. And, we kind of go to Valhalla with the strong actual products. But I've said many, many times, I do believe this will be the first year that an altcoin will be used. And that'll be the fundamental reason that gets this up. But the real driver is simply price and the 4-year cycle. All right. So that's today's video, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure you smack that subscribe button, man. We almost had 81,000 subscribers. We've been killing it with the new subscribers coming in. Thank you, everyone who's kind of new to the videos. I'm going to continue to make updates, guys. There's not really much new to update over those last few weeks. That's why videos have been kind of been spare. That's why I haven't really been live streaming. Hasn't been much new to update, right? Continue to have patience and continue to weather the storm. Just continue to, do some other stuff. And kind of ignore the crypto market and send an alert. As long as Bitcoin's above here, still the thought process that this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. It's just taking some patience. That's all. All right. So I'm out of here, guys. Peace out. Much love. Like the video before you go. Subscribe to the channel, like I said, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. It's been your boy, Jordan Camerand.